here's my review of Nosferatu. I'm gonna cut right to the chase. I loved this movie, and I think this is one of the best movies of 2024, and it might even be my favorite. In many ways, this is very similar to Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, but I preferred this, I think, even way more. And I liked Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, but this movie in Robert Eggers' style, I just loved. I mean, he has proven himself to be such a incredible director as he's on his fourth movie, only four movies, and they're all very, very good. And I think that this is his best one yet. And in many ways, like I said, this is similar to Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, where we have Ellen, who basically comes infatuated with the Count, as her husband, Thomas, the realtor, goes to meet him. And it's just this almost disturbing love story, much more than it is a horror, although this is a horror movie. But I think that's what I loved about it. What made it even better is it just felt so personal. And Lily Rose Depp gives one of the best performances of the year because she's so, you could clearly see how terrified Ellen is of this creature, but in a way, she almost feels joy. And it's such a beautiful performance. And that just makes it even creepier as, yes, this is this monster who's almost terrorizing her, but part of her loves it. And that's what makes it so just disturbing and sick. And the set design and production design is just immaculate. I mean, every frame of this movie is basically beautiful. When they go to his castle, the roads, the snow, the horse carriages, everything's great. And there are parts of this movie where I've seen people criticize Aaron Taylor Johnson in this movie. I don't really see why. I thought he gave a great performance as Frederick Harding, as he's basically in this movie. He's like their neighbor. Same with Emma Corrin was great as well. And and their two girls just gave me major Shining vibes, which was just wow. And they're tasked with taking care of Ellen when she's in this terrified state. And it's just, like I said, it's just beautiful. It's so good. Like I said, I don't really think Aaron was bad at all in this movie. I don't know why people are saying that. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, there were much better performances. Bill Skarsgård, Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, Willem Dafoe. I would even say all the other main performances are better, but to say this is a bad performance, I don't get it. There are so many just beautiful stills of this movie for when Thomas is in the castle, and just seeing Nosferatu from afar is just great. It's so creepy and beautiful. And just the fact that this is Bill Skarsgård is just there's so much makeup in his voice. You'd have no clue. But that just proves I think he deserves an Oscar nomination. I honestly think almost everyone in this movie does. They're all so great. But Bill Skarsgård is just, he's unbelievable. He is some people are literally saying he is too good. Why did they even get him? He's too good. You can't even tell it's him. But it's isn't that the point? Yes, he is fantastic, and he should be, and he is. And the makeup work, for when we see Thomas first meet Nosferatu, and just the claws and you can immediately tell Nosferatu's infatuation with his wife, and it just gives this weird personal creepiness. And this movie is, if you know anything about this is a very sexual movie, but I think that it doesn't feel like it's trying to be sexual for the sake of it. It genuinely does add to the story, and it makes sense. There are some points where maybe it feels a little in this scene, for example, it's not really, it's so terrifying where I think it overshadows it, which I think is good. But I never really thought it there are some points where it kind of felt a little too much, but at certain points it does make a lot of sense, especially with how personal this movie is. And what makes it almost so scary and sickening is how Ellen literally says, you can never please me like he could. And it just gives you this sickening vibe of and they've never even really know, of just these visions and this overall, it's weird, this sexual horror, but it's fantastic. And there are so many just gorgeous shots in this movie from Nosferatu's hand coming over the town in Germany. It's just great. And speaking of Germany, one of my only tiny it is just a nitpick, but one thing I just couldn't help but think, like, this movie takes place in Germany, but like none of the all the actors are basically British and none of them are doing German accents. Like, it's really just a minor nitpick, but I couldn't help but think, like, why are none of them doing German accents? It's just a minor thing, but the movie's still fantastic. Like I said, it's just weird. And like I said, the lighting and cinematography, this movie is one of the most beautiful looking movies of the year, even though it's so dark. Like, and like I said, the acting, fantastic. Like, yes, obviously it's called Nosferatu. Like, I mean, Bill Skarsgård, we know he's fantastic, and he is fantastic. But like, Nicholas Hoult in this movie is incredible. All the actors are, in my opinion. But just the amount of fear he has when he's in Nosferatu's castle, it's just so uneasy and uncomfortable. And just like, just the fear of him looking at his nails, these acrylic nails, and just terror is just so good. And also, I think that this movie also, it's not a body horror movie, but there are scenes like this that give some major body horror vibes. Because, yes, this is a horror movie, but it's not super scary. The reason I think I love it just so much is just because of the beautiful story. And it's like this disturbing story and these beautiful characters. But when it gets like that and she's being like possessed and just the movements with her body, like the stuff Lily Rose Depp is able to do here is just incredible. Like, I couldn't believe how good she was. Like, she might be the best performance in this entire movie, in a movie filled with phenomenal performances. It's just great. And one thing that I think this movie that I love so much about this story is almost just seeing, I think, them get teared apart from the inside. And what I mean by that is Thomas and Ellen, because of Nosferatu, it almost feels like their inner relationship in their marriage is just being torn apart from the inside in just this disturbing and sad way because of Ellen's, like, attraction to Nosferatu. And it's just so disturbing and terrifying, but it just feels so real. Like, and you genuinely do feel, I mean, his pain. I mean, like, I mean, your wife is almost falling in love with a vampire. And for the man that you were trying to help sell the house to, who you sold a house to, it's just, like I said, this movie is really just a disturbing love story to me, and it's a beautiful one at that. And I loved it. Like I said, I can't keep gushing about how beautiful this movie is. Every scene I just love of how gorgeous it looks. The cinematography is just great. I just want to personally say, Jaron Belinsky, the cinematographer of this movie, you did a phenomenal job. He deserves a nomination. He was absolutely fantastic. This movie is just gorgeous. So yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I think at its core, it is really a twisted horror love story that leaves you disturbed, it leaves you uncomfortable, but it almost leaves you in awe. And I think at the end of this movie, I genuinely felt almost terrified, not from it necessarily being scary, but almost from being just so personally sad and I felt more like disgusted, not from gore or not from like blood, but almost disgusted of just seeing this tragic story play out. Maybe I'm overhyping it a little too much, but I genuinely love this movie. Who knows, maybe I won't like it as much when I rewatch it, but as of right now, I thought it was fantastic. I think that the performances are incredible. I think the direction is incredible. I think it is a beautiful movie. It is a beautifully sad movie, a beautifully terrifying movie, and just a fantastic movie. And like I said, Robert Eggers, I mean, he's 4 for 4 right now, and I'm so excited to see what he has next. And yeah, as of right now, this is my favorite horror movie of the year and one of my favorite movies of the year. I thought it was just fantastic.